By now you've probably heard the buzzword NFT floating around the internet, and you're probably trying to figure out what exactly it is. In this video I'm going to be breaking down the absolute basics that you need to understand what a non-fungible token is. And if you have any awareness of this whatsoever, this is probably not the video for you. This is the basics, the beginner, the easiest to understand information about what this is and how it might impact you and your business in the future. NFT stands for non-fungible token, which means it cannot be interchanged with anything else. It is its own unique entity, and it lives inside of the blockchain, which makes for easy tracking as it's sold and traded. Now, NFTs take many forms, but the most common is probably digital artwork, but it can also be things like videos or even things like music. And these live on the blockchain, which means as they are traded and sold, you can easily track them from hand to hand, and the creators of these also get royalties on each subsequent sale. So whereas if you sold a piece of artwork in real life, a physical tangible piece of artwork, you would sell it and that would be the end of it. You wouldn't get royalties from that going forward, just the person who sold it. From this, you actually make those royalties because it's an easily tracked thing, and you get that little bit of a kickback with each future sale. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Let's step back and talk about the blockchain for just a second. We're not going to get too deep in this, but you do need to be aware that it's kind of a decentralized bank. That means instead of having to go to a bank and just rely on that one bank to tell us yes or no we have money in our account, we have a lot of different people, a lot of different eyes watching the blockchain. It is a very public way of making sure that everything is staying safe and everything is what we say it is. We know exactly where our money is and what's going on with it, and we can track things like the sales of NFTs, so we know who has owned them along the way, and we make sure that people get their royalties when those things are sold in the future. So these things live on the blockchain because it is watched by a lot of different eyes to make sure everything is on the up and up. So once an artist or a business person decides to create an NFT, they're going to create the artwork, the videos, the music, the whatever, and they're going to mint it on the blockchain. Now we'll talk about that in a second, but once they put it on the blockchain, then people have the ability to then purchase these things. Now, back in the very beginning of this, it very much started out strongly toward the artwork side. People would buy it for the artwork and for the value of the artwork, but then the business world jumped in and we have utilities attached to it. And utilities are one of my favorite things to talk about because you can do so much with them. You can do things like charity, where you are allowing people to buy the NFTs, and then based on what you are getting back from that, you do some type of charity work, or you donate things, or whatever that happens to be. You can also give them access to special things. So while people may not be super keen on buying just a digital piece of artwork, they might buy it in order to get backstage passes to a Beyonce concert, right? They also may buy access to it to go to a movie. That could be something we see in the future. Instead of movie tickets, we have the NFTs to get into the movies. It could be something like a business convention, and you get to go have dinner with the speaker as part of this NFT if you purchase it beforehand. Now you can put a lot of different things in it, and it really comes down to what you choose to attach as a utility to your NFT. You also get to decide if that's going to transfer in the future when those things are sold later on. So if the person who buys it decides no longer to keep it and to sell it, do those things pass on to that person? If your NFT came with a yearly pass to a special mastermind with a business person, and that happens every single year, when that person sells that NFT to someone else, does that person then get that ticket to that mastermind? You get to set those terms before you sell the NFT. So really it breaks down to having a digital piece of art as a file or as a placeholder for this, which you may want the artwork, you may not, or whatever it happens to be, the video, the music, the whatever. But the utilities attached to it then are what draw a lot of people to it. Now, not every NFT has a utility attached to it, but it definitely heightens that availability of people to want to buy that NFT if they're getting something beneficial out of it. I've also seen people who are selling the artwork but then send physical, tangible artwork to them as well. Now at this point you're probably saying, Cam, this is a digital file, anybody can copy it, what's the advantage to this? So I would actually bring you back into the physical world. Let's talk about the art world, and let's think about the Mona Lisa. There's one Mona Lisa, right? It is certified, it is the only original Mona Lisa, but there's hundreds and thousands of copies of it running around the world. They're on postcards and stickers, you can see them printed on different shirts and different notebooks. There's so many iterations of it, but none of them are the real original, right? The person who owns the real original piece of artwork has the thing that is quality, has the thing that comes with the price tag, and those knockoffs or those iterations, those copies of it, aren't actually worth very much. Same thing goes with this. When a piece of digital artwork, videos or music or whatever is minted on the blockchain, it's certified as the one with the fun stuff attached. It's certified as the one worth the money and worth paying for the utilities and the one that's going to have access to the things that the utilities bring in. Remember, we just talked about how you can kind of use this as a ticket to an event, but only the original is going to have that backstage pass connected to it. You can screenshot anything, but it doesn't come with the utilities and the extra stuff. So it's certified on the blockchain, just like artwork is certified in real life, and the person who holds the original is the person who holds the keys to all the fun stuff that it can unlock that comes with that particular file, piece of artwork, music, photos, videos, whatever. Now, all of this exists in a Web3 space. Now, Web 3.0 is different than Web 2.0. We need to break this down just a little bit for you to understand. So back at the beginning of the internet, Web 1.0, this was when we were able to just see things on the internet. We could read things, it really wasn't very big, and eventually we moved into Web 2.0, which is basically where we're living right now. Web 2.0 allows us to read and write on the internet. It means you can post content, you can do things on social media, you can interact and engage, and you can have these conversations. You can read things that are already there, so you can like search for things, but also you can write things, you can create things on the internet. Now, Web 3.0 is where we're moving into. It's a space that currently exists and we're all figuring it out as we go, but not everybody's over in Web 3.0. Web 3.0 is really cool because you can read and you can write, but you also maintain your ownership, so your data follows you around. You have the ability to do some really cool things, and it's all interconnected because it is now Web 3.0. So we've got reading, where we can figure stuff out and search stuff. We have writing, where we can create things, and we've got that ownership that really allows us to own our data and to be able to monetize it. So we're working toward a Web 3.0 space, which is really, really nice because as we're dealing with all of this, we're looking at keeping our money inside of our crypto wallets. We are making sure that we are doing things on the blockchain where a lot of people are watching it. It's not centralized, it's that decentralized version of the internet where people all kind of come together to crowdsource and police things together. And we are then able to use our cryptocurrencies to buy things like NFTs, which then follow us around the internet. So when you buy an NFT, that gets attached to your wallet. That is in your space. So as you're going from website to website and place to place inside of Web3, all these things are here and available to you. Let me give you an example. If you play a video game right now and you buy a sword in a video game, that kind of stays in that video game, right? Well, in the Web 3.0 space, that's going to be able to follow you to a different video game. So if you buy it over here, you can also use it over here. It's a really interesting way of moving into the future where we have that ownership over the things that we're doing and the data that we're creating out on the internet. And so with this, we are using those cryptocurrencies to then buy things like NFTs, which follow us around. And there's a lot of different types of cryptocurrency. So you want to do your research here. There's a lot of really great information on, different crypto wallets and what you can be using, what you should be using in different places to mint your NFTs. There's a lot of things you should be researching on there, but you need to be aware that it exists in this Web 3.0 space, this futuristic internet that is currently here and we're defining right now, and that impacts how we're going to be doing things financially in the future and right now in terms of NFTs. In association with that, you probably heard a buzzword called gas fees. Now, this is the fee for doing business in Web 3.0. It's very similar to a fee you would pay to list something on Etsy or on eBay. You're gonna have to pay that gas fee to mint your NFTs and to sell your NFTs in the Web3 space. And you've probably also heard a little bit about the environmental impacts of these things, and you may have some questions on that. So you're gonna wanna do your research, but basically, we're looking at the same environmental impact as doing a Google search or running your refrigerator for an hour. It's not super overwhelming, but they are working in the space to make sure that we're going even more green with this so that we are very eco-friendly as you are minting your NFTs and you're buying your NFTs and you're working in the Web3 space. So as you're looking to get into the NFT space, space, you can either be an investor and a trader in NFTs, or you can create your own NFTs and sell those out on the blockchain. There's a lot of different options for this, and you really want to make sure you're doing your research, so make sure you hit that subscribe notification bell, because I am bringing in NFT experts to teach you how to create your own NFTs and how to market your NFTs. And we're going to be talking more and more in the future, so if you have questions on this, now's a great time to drop those down below for me, because I'm pulling in these experts to then educate you even further. But why are NFTs important to you right now if you're not planning on getting into the buying and trading and investing space or the creation space right this second? You have to remember, we're moving forward as a community into a Web3 space. You've heard Facebook, Meta, talk all about the metaverse that's coming up. We're very quickly moving toward a Web3 space, or a digital online community, spaces we can meet in a digital capacity to do things together, to hang out and be a part of life and do community together, but online. With everything going on in the world right now and all the craziness the last couple of years, we've seen everything move much more dramatically to an online space. We're holding meetings online now, we're doing business online now, and as we progress forward, we're looking at more of a digital space for us. Think about it this way. There was a time when people who had a lot of money, who had big fancy houses and big cars, would collect artwork. And they would put that artwork in their big fancy mansions, and then they would have all of their friends over for dinner parties and show off their fancy artwork. Well, we're not really in a space anymore where we're bringing people into our homes. We're not in this physical location with people anymore. So now we're starting to see people represent themselves more and more online. And that's everything from rich millionaires showing off their fancy artwork to you and me and how we're representing ourselves on social media right now. Our spaces, our representations of ourselves are dramatically swaying toward the digital side. That's social media, that's our websites, that's our presence online, and we're showing off the day-to-day things that we're doing, our daily lives, and the things that we're acquiring, and the trips we're going on, and the things that we're doing inside of our lives are represented online. We're moving toward this online representation of us and what we do, and it's incredibly important to realize that we're moving forward with this. So as we're moving forward the next couple of years, you're going to see even more and more move toward that online space, and we lean heavily into that, which is why the metaverse is going to be such a big thing and why they're spending so much time investing in that. And we're seeing things sway more toward the Web 3.0 side, and how things are going to be following us around, because now we have that ownership of our data inside of this digital space. It's also important to recognize that NFTs are going to be really big in the future. We've talked a lot in this video about how we're going to see this replace things like tickets to different music events or backstage passes, getting into your movie theaters, or you may even see things like restaurants be offering NFTs, and with that NFT you get a serious discount every single time that you're eating there that makes it so worth investing in a small little NFT. And NFTs can cost anywhere from a couple of dollars to a lot of money depending on what's attached to it and the value the creator perceives when they are putting that out on the blockchain for you. And remember, NFTs are very interesting because there's only one of them. When you own that, you get all the things that are attached to it. And there are lots of things that are similar out there, and I heard a really great example used not too long ago about cell phones. If you handed me your cell phone and I tried to hand a different cell phone back to you, would that be acceptable to you? No, because it's not about the phone, it's not about the device. The delivery of that is not important to you. It's the things that are attached to it. Your photos, your information, your contacts inside of your phone are what matter to you. So if I handed you a different phone back, that would be a problem. NFTs are going to be specific to you and what you get out of it, and so you're going to want to make sure that you're paying attention to how this evolves in the future. Your NFTs are going to be very important in what you choose to invest in, whether you're getting kickbacks or it's just to make you happy because you happen to like the artwork or the song or the video. This is going to be something that follows you around on the internet, is there to represent you, and benefits you in some way, shape, or form because you've chosen to invest into that. So whether you're looking to jump into NFTs and crypto and Web 3.0 right now, or you're just learning for the future, it's important to remember that right now we're still in the early stages of this. It is still being defined by the users, by the creators, by the people who are building up the Web 3 side of things. And so right now there's a lot of changes happening. There's a lot going on, and you're going to see iterations of this over the next couple of days, weeks, months, and beyond. And people who jump in right now really get to define what it's going to be a year from now, 2 years from now, 7 years from now. The people who are jumping into this realm are the ones who get to understand it and define it and chart that course moving forward. So as you're continuing to learn and study, you're going to learn a lot of different things, and some things may seem a little bit different than what you had already heard. That's because it's a rapidly growing and changing scenario. It's the wild, wild west right now out there, very similar to the very early years of social media. If you jumped into the world of social media very early on, you helped to define it. Your interactions and your engagements and the way that you were using it actually defined what happens to us right now. For me, I jumped into social media early on, and because I did, I started using things differently than they were intended to, and because people, big entities like Facebook, saw what I was doing, they were able to change how they were doing things, and what I did years ago impacts you right now. And we have the availability to do this in Web3 with NFTs and with all of the crypto blockchain things right now. So you're going to hear a lot of different iterations of this. Things are going to be changing, and there will be a lot of people who say that they're not sure, they're still learning, they're still new in this, and that's to be expected because it's still very brand new. So continue to study and decide what's going to be best for you if you want to learn more about it, or if you want to jump in right now and see what you can do. But keep in mind, the people who jump in now and start either investing in trading or start selling NFTs right now are going to be the ones who not only define what happens in the future, but make a lot of money too, because right now it's in its infancy and there's so much room for growth. And if you jump in now, you're going to do really, really well. Think of it this way. If you jumped into social media early on, you're worth a lot more. You're a lot more valuable than somebody who's jumping in right now. And if you are going to be jumping into this space right now, I highly recommend you do your research. There's a lot of things that are going on right now, and there's a lot of people who are jumping into this industry that are not necessarily super well-intentioned. So you want to make sure that you're protecting yourself, that you're not putting too much money into something that you're not prepared to lose, that you are not taking unnecessary risks or connecting things or giving out information that you shouldn't be. Like with any online presence, you don't want to be giving out something like your credit card number. You also don't want to be giving out information about your wallet or connecting it to things that are not going to be valuable to you. So before you do anything, learn, research, Google, get into the Discord and the Twitter space, find friends, make sure that you are taking care of yourself because you do not want to do anything that could potentially hurt you in the future, and there's a lot that you can be learning. So now is the time to start learning, start growing, start evolving what you're doing, and test the waters. Start small and build from there. There's so much that goes into this, and because there is so much that goes into this, I'm bringing in lots of experts as bonus content here on the YouTube channel, so hit that subscribe and notification bell. You'll be able to ask me questions, and better yet, ask my experts questions. We're going to make sure that we're getting those things answered for you to make sure that you are taken care of as best as possible inside of this space. I hope that you will look into this, if nothing else than to understand and gain that knowledge so that you can prepare for the future, because it is coming whether you like it or not. And if you're ready to jump in, I'm doing this right now with you. Let's go on this adventure together. So get in my comments, let me know, are you jumping in? Are you researching? Are you excited about this? Are you still unsure and have questions? We want to make sure that you are completely secure with whatever decision you decide to make. So drop those questions below, and I'll see you in our upcoming episodes on NFTs, plus our daily content on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, live streaming, and more.